This conference will now be recorded.
And then folks can pop on when they have time. So welcome everyone to our June CAC meeting. Thanks so much for being here. We do have a couple different people on the call tonight, so I thought it might be fun to kind of go around the room, so to speak, and say just like a brief introduction, who you are, and maybe like what your interest is in Tampa Bay. So I can start, and then we can kind of just go down the organizer list. So I'm Sheila Scalaro. I'm the facilitator for the Community Advisory Committee, and I am the Community Program Scientist with the Tampa Bay Estuary Program. And I forgot what my question was, but but I am interested in seagrass. So that's one thing about Tampa Bay that I'm interested in. So next on my list is Maya. Do you want to say hi? Sorry, put you on the spot.
All of my computer's bandwidth at the moment. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Maya Burke. I'm the Assistant Director of the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, and my primary interests are in environmental land use planning and the human dimensions of environmental problems.
Thanks, Maya. So up next, we have Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. My husband's making a pop-in.
I just saw Dana in there, so I wanted to say hi.
We went to school together, guys. I don't even remember who I am. My name is Stephanie. I am the program director with Keep Pinellas Beautiful. We are an environmental nonprofit here in Pinellas County, and I am interested in community connection and healthy waterways. So that's what we do.
Cool. Thanks, Amy. Up next, I have Amy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Sweda. I'm an associate professor of marine science at Eckerd College and have been working along with Shannon Gowans, who will introduce herself a little later, on monitoring microplastics in Tampa Bay. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy, and welcome. We're really excited to have you here tonight. Next, I have Christine.
Hey everybody, sorry I was unmuted earlier, I didn't realize, my bad. I am Christine Sciarrino. I'm an environmental scientist with ESA. We're a consulting firm, and I guess my favorite part about being on the CAC, you could say, is the grant program, because it feels so direct and applied, and love to see the creative ideas that come in each year. That being said, I've also dropped off the face of the earth for a little bit in the past year because I had a baby, and I haven't been at a CAC meeting, I don't think, since last year in the spring. So we'll be playing some catch up, but thanks for having me back.
Welcome, Christine. I think it's totally fine that you have been off the face of the earth doing more important things. And congratulations. Congratulations.
Well, thanks, appreciate it.
Dana?
Hi, everybody. In addition to going to college with Stephanie and her husband, I am a wetland scientist and a policy analyst, and I'm here representing the Gulfport Sustainability Committee, who was lucky enough to be one of the recipients of this wonderful grant program. And one of the things I'm most passionate about is coastal wetlands and their impact on storm surges and on commercial fisheries.
Awesome. Thanks, Dana. Dylan, want to say hey?
Hey there. Yeah, my name is Dylan Furness. I am a St. Pete-based writer and communications professional. And I'm interested in, I mean, there's a lot of stuff about Tampa Bay that interests me, and I think a lot of it's motivated by sort of that human environmental nexus I find particularly fascinating and important.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dylan. And Dylan, for those of you who are new, Dylan is one of our co-chairs on the CAC. Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth Nail. I go by Liz. I forgot what I'm supposed to say. I'm administrative assistant at the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation. And I'm also a grad student and getting a degree in sustainable management. So I'm interested in all sorts of things regarding sustainability, specifically to Tampa Bay, water quality, and like what's been shared before, the connection with community and underrepresented citizens.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. Erica? Are you around, Erica? Okay. Okay, well, Erica, you can pop in later if you have access to a microphone. Jan, are you still on, or do you have to pop off already?
No, I'm here.
Oh,
Hi, I'm Jan Allen. I'm the other co-chair. I'm the Pinellas County delegate to the CAC, appointed by Charlie Justice. And I think the most exciting thing that I'm interested in Tampa Bay is plants. A former president of the local Native Plant Society chapter. So I'm really interested in increasing biodiversity in the Tampa Bay watershed using a variety of native plants in all different applications. And I'm also the work for USF for the Water Atlas program, among other projects that we have, including the Tampa Bay Water Atlas, which is sponsored by the Tampa Bay Estuary Program.
awesome. Thanks, Jan. Joe?
Hey everybody, my name is Joe. I'm with the TBEP. I'm the science communication designer and creator. And I'd say my biggest interest is really in design and science communication and how we can better package scientific concepts and ideas and messages in a way that is more appealing to the public or different target audiences.
Thanks, Joe. Marjorie?
Hi, I'm Marjorie Carbonine. I guess I've been on this committee as long as anybody, or maybe longer. And when I started, it was very few people seemed to pay any attention to the Bay. And so it seemed like something to do.
Awesome. Thanks, Marjorie. And we're so thankful that you are still with us. You are a champion, a true champion for the Bay. Paige Lansky, are you around?
I am. Hi, everyone. I do have a screaming baby in the background, so just ignore that, okay? My name is Paige Lansky. I am with Tampa Bay Watch. I am their Native Plantings Program Coordinator. We focus on community-driven habitat restoration projects around Tampa Bay. So we go out with community volunteers and with youth from local schools and take them out and do habitat restoration projects. And I kind of coordinate the planting side of that. So I would say my interests also really lie in native plants, especially native wildflowers, which I don't get to plant as much as I'd like to.
Great. Thanks, Paige. Shannon?
Hi, I'm Shannon Gowans, and I'm also at Eckerd College along with Amy, and we have both been looking at microplastics in Tampa Bay since 2017, and then also working on projects to try and reduce the amount of plastics going into the Bay as well.
Well, welcome, Shannon. We're similar to what I said with Amy. We're really glad to have you here tonight. I have Stephanie again. Stephanie, are you? I think you're on here twice, but that's okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having volume issues on my computer. So.
Okay, no worries.
Can you
No
hear me
worries.
now, Sheila?
Yes. Hi, Erica.
Hey. So Erica Moulton, I'm the STEM director for St. Petersburg College, a mini multitude recipient of Bay Mini Grants. I have a T-Birth grant right now for Living Shoreline, and I love Tampa Bay. I'm multi-generational family here, and I absolutely adore everything that's going on here, and I get to work with a lot of really cool people, so I'm excited to be on the CAC.
Awesome. Thanks, Erica. Glad you got your microphone working.
Okay.
Hey, Sue, you're up next.
All right, here I am. Next to Marjorie, I think I've been on the committee the longest, and it's just been a wonderful to watch it transition. I think now I listen to everybody's biographies, and it's so impressive. I think in the beginning, they just kind of gathered up a bunch of people and had an interest, but now there's a lot more. I'm particularly interested in the water quality and habitat restoration in the upper part of the bay where I live in the Oldsmar Safety Harbor area. And as far as being on the committee, I love the Golden Mangrove Award just to see what everybody's done with the amount of money that is available to them and to see the changes that one person can make, because it seems like each grant, there's just a lot that they do. And also new, because I've got grandkids, that now I'm really interested in trying to encourage, especially the young kids, because they have just a natural love in the environment to try to foster that. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sue. And then Tiara? Is it Tiara? Did I say that right?
Hi, it's TRA, but you can call me TJ. I am Save the Manatee Club's manatee biologist, and it might be unsurprising to hear that I'm interested in manatees in Tampa Bay, but also general restoration efforts and just learning about all the different things that are going on.
Great. Well, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. So I don't know, I thought that it would be fun since there was some new faces at the meeting tonight, but also it was kind of a trick to make sure that all of your microphones were working, because this meeting we are going to, it's more like conversation and discussion heavy. So I'm really hoping to really have some good conversations and good discussions with the CAC members. And hey, Charlie, I see you just popped on. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Sorry I'm late.
No worries. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
I had a pretty hectic day, so I'm just getting home. Yeah, so I'm Captain Charlie Howell. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I've been here my whole life. And I have always heard about the Tampa Bay Estuary program, and I saw an opportunity a couple weeks ago to kind of try to get involved, and I thought that this would be a good start. So I'd like to, see how much time I can donate. Being a full-time charter captain and a father of four, a 4-year-old is kind of time consuming, but I'll try to do what I can and try to, put my services out there the best I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to be here. We really appreciate it. I know things are probably really busy on the charter side of things right now. But also, just for everyone who's here, Charlie is the West Coast Director for the Florida Guides Association and is considering assisting Tampa Bay Estuary Program with some of our citizen science initiatives and some of our macroalgae projects that we're looking at in the future. So we're totally excited and thankful for any time that you can give us, Charlie.
Awesome. Well, I'll try to do as much as I can. Thanks for having me.
So up first on the agenda, as Dana mentioned, and as some of you might already know, at the May Policy Board meeting, Nadine and Marjorie presented the 2020 and the 2021 Golden Mangrove Awards. So this year, the Golden Mangrove Committee kind of we had a larger committee, and it broke up into kind of two groups in order to really help us kind of play catch up, since a lot of our 2020 Bay Mini grants had pushed and were extended because of the pandemic. So this kind of was a catch up year. So we were doing the 2 Golden Mangrove Awards within 1 year. So thank you for everyone who participated on that committee. We couldn't do what we do without you. So for anyone who has not sat on the Golden Mangrove Award Committee before, they review every single thing that the Bay Mini Grant recipients submit throughout the year. So they review all of the invoices, all of the deliverables, reports, final reports, and applications to make sure that they are cost effective in how they're spending the funds, that they're achieving all of the deliverables that they said they would, and that they're meeting those success criteria that they originally stated in their proposals. So it's no easy feat, and I sometimes don't give them enough time to probably do all that. I only give them like 2 weeks to review. So thank you all very much. So as I said, this year they selected 2 awards. So 2020 award was presented to the Friends of Crescent Lake, which is now Stewards of Our Urban Lakes. And then 2021 award was presented to the Gulfport Sustainability Committee they were the first time recipient of a Bay Mini grant. And so they were offered the Golden Mangrove for their Gulfport Recreation Center rain garden. So I really wanted to extend out an arm and reach out to Dana to see if she would be interested in kind of giving you guys an overview of her project and everything that she achieved and the Sustainability Committee achieved with this funding. So Dana, sorry that's a long-winded introduction. So I'm going to make you the presenter if you are ready.
I'm ready.
Awesome.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me to the meeting to talk about our project. My name is Dana Parkinson, and I am the project manager for the Gulfport Recreation Center Rain Garden, which is part of a project from our group, the Gulfport Sustainability Committee. So a quick overview of my presentation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our group. I'll go over how we selected our project site. I'll touch briefly on our wonderful grants. I'll go through several of the challenges and solutions of our project, and I will show you some progress photos and what the rain garden looks like today, and then what's next for our group. So our group aims to maintain and improve the City of Gulfport's quality of life through fact-based, well-researched, transparent solutions that support cherished community values. And we have 4 subcommittees, and I am part of the Natural Resources Subcommittee. So we knew we wanted to create a rain garden project, and our site selection process was really dependent on our group because of everyone's familiarity with Gulfport. And we ended up choosing this spot at the corner of Shore Boulevard and 58th Street South. This is an incredibly prime site for a rain garden project that aims to do both pollution, to both maintain pollution and also to provide education for folks walking by. This site has so much foot traffic. There are Airbnbs across the street. It's across the street from several huge apartment complexes. It's next to a recreation center, which means it's next to a public playground, a skate park, a basketball court, a baseball field, and a public beach area. So there are always people walking through and around this part of Gulfport, making it a really ideal spot. The other thing is that most of the folks that are walking by our garden are on their way to the waterfront. And so this project allows us to have the impact of providing some education and then immediately seeing the connection between this rain garden and the water, the open water nearby, Boca Ciega Bay. So this is what the site looks like on the ground. And this, this polygon shows you, this is sort of this is a catchment basin. It's a water detainment area, a stormwater detainment area for this parking lot next to it, which is the parking lot for the recreation center. It receives water flow from both ends, and it also has the ability to have water flow access with the street during really high storm surges. And it's about 6 inches deep. So we were lucky enough to receive 2 wonderful grants for this project. The first one from Tampa Bay Estuary Program, which we used for hardscaping, landscaping, and supplies. And the second one is from the Regional Planning Council, which we used for an educational sign and also some weatherproof plant labels. And here is our lovely Tampa Bay Estuary sign next to the garden. And here are what the plant labels look like. They're on stakes that are like almost 2 feet long that go so deep into the ground so that they'll stay even when it floods. And this is our incredible educational sign. I worked really closely with a graphic designer to create this sign. Once again, trying to really draw the connection between the pollution coming from the runoff from the parking lot, which is directly in front of the garden, and how that affects Boca Ciega Bay. So one of the first challenges of this project is just the project design itself. We wanted to make sure that we included a walkway and that was also like a dry stream bed that would allow for fast water flow if that needed to happen, and would also act as a way to access the garden from the inside. And we needed hardscaping that was heavy enough not to float on, so big enough not to float, but comfortable enough to walk on. We also had to make sure that we chose really specific Florida native plants because of the location. So these plants sometimes receive salty and brackish water during storms. So they need to be salt tolerant plants, need to be drought tolerant plants. This is a full sunlight site, and they also need to be able to handle occasional inundation. And then of course, the project needed to be designed for long-term maintenance that was pretty low maintenance. So I focused on shrubs, grasses, and forbs, thinking really carefully about the maximum plant sizes to not overplant the garden, and also to choose species that are not going to grow 30 feet tall eventually. I'm really thinking about what these plants are going to look like in 5 or 6 years, in 8 or 10 years. And I also focused really heavily in this plan on creating a really heavy ground cover, not only because it meant that I got to add so many different types of wildflowers, but also because it means less weeding, because those plants are going to outcompete the weeds. Another challenge for us, our group formed in the summer of 2020, and within a month I was writing grant applications. So this all happened really fast, from getting off the ground as a group fully to what projects can we take on and what can we do. So one of the biggest challenges for this group was, what is project management going to look like for this rain garden project? And by assessing our group, we found out we had lots of folks who were interested in doing occasional work, but we didn't have a lot of folks who were interested in doing the paperwork management side. And at the time, I had a lot of free time. It was during the pandemic, and I decided to take on the project management of this project and be the main person in charge of it. And it has been absolutely incredible and rewarding, and I'm so grateful that I did that. Another challenge for us was we needed volunteers that would come out occasionally and water our garden, because we're choosing a garden that is Florida native plants. They don't need long-term, they don't need a full irrigation system necessarily installed, but they do need a lot of care in the first 6 to 9 months, and occasionally during winter and dry periods. So one of the things that our group has been incredible at is coordinating and providing folks who will come out and hand water our garden occasionally. Another challenge that we faced, of course, was the pandemic. So we made sure to include that we budgeted for masks, hand sanitizer, and then we provided that at all of our events. We made sure that we only met at the garden outdoors. And of course, we only coordinated with our volunteers virtually. Another challenge for a brand new group with only a few months under our belt was attracting enough volunteers for work days. When you're doing these big projects that require a lot of like manual physical labor, you know, many hands makes light work. And so the best way to have a really high energy, easygoing day is to have a lot of folks come out. So I partnered with the Florida Native Plant Society and with the Gulfport Teen Council to ask them if they would like to be involved in our initial planting days. And they both generously said yes and coordinated with us. So we had local teens come out and volunteer from Gulfport, and we also had incredible volunteers from the Florida Native Plant Society who brought their expertise and their knowledge and their absolute joy in putting plants in the ground with them. Here are some of the teens from the Gulfport Teen Council. And here is a big group of volunteers. This was the planting day, and we had so many folks that it took us less than 2 hours to go from a bare site with hardscaping all the way to a fully planted garden. Another challenge that we faced was our garden is next to a public utility. It's next to a lift station owned by the city. This property is owned by the city of Gulfport. And throughout our project, one day, suddenly there was this huge construction project that took over that was right on the edge of the garden. And there was some, a little bit of disruption to the edge of our garden. And we didn't know that was going to happen. But luckily it was very minimal. And we're already like working on the plan to replant part of this area, and it's actually been pretty minimal. But it was quite a shock to us to find heavy machinery so close to our garden one day. So, progress of our rain garden. This is the site on the first day that we went out to look at it and discuss permitting and discuss our relationship with the city of Gulfport. This is the rain garden after we completed planting on our first big work day. And this is what the rain garden looks like now. I took this photo yesterday and I couldn't be more proud. The plants are so happy and everything is just exploding. All of our plants are flowering. We have fruit on our horizontal cocoa plum. It's incredible. We have bees, moths, butterflies. It's just a wonderful place to sit and watch wildlife. There are all these birds that come to the garden too. It's really had a huge impact on that site, which used to be a total monoculture of grass and now is providing all this habitat. This is another photo of the garden doing incredibly well. And I'll say that one of my favorite things is watching people come up and explore the garden. It's just incredible to see people see it catch their eye and watch them walk over and read the sign and walk through it and look around. It's incredible. It's so rewarding. And I see that every time I'm out there. It's such a high traffic area that every time we've ever had any type of work or we're there doing any watering or maintenance, we have so many people walk up and ask us about our project. Again, this is the rain garden, really happy. This is a bunch of beach verbena and horizontal cocoa plum and some seaside goldenrod, all doing great. So what's next for our group? First and foremost, we have to maintain this garden. All gardens require maintenance. The next thing is also that the city of Gulfport has let us know that they intend to place a bench next to our garden and create an ADA compliant walkway leading to the garden, which will provide more access. Right now it's about 20 feet from a paved area. Our group has also started a composting program in Gulfport, and we're currently working on a project of mapping our sidewalks and working with the city to make sure that our sidewalks are ADA compliant, that there's curb cuts, and that they're complete. On my part, for the natural resources part of our group, I am excited about recreating this project and other sites in the future. And I'm also really interested in doing projects about coastal restoration. I'm really interested in finding spots in Clam Bayou or spots nearby in Gulfport on public property that need invasive species removal and need to have native plants planted. One of the things I noticed in this project is that when people are out in the garden and they're weeding and they're putting plants in the ground and they're there, the conversations are incredible. People are sharing knowledge with each other. People are asking really great questions. It's piquing people's curiosity and it's inspiring them. And it's very easy to see that once people are there on site, they're really engaging with the garden and really thinking critically about what is this garden doing and why are these plants so special and what is it that this is doing for Boca Ciega Bay and for Tampa Bay. And I'd love to see that same kind of curiosity and inspiration happen in a site that is not just a showcase garden, but is truly restoring a natural site. So those are in the works for us for the future. And finally, thank you so much for funding our project. Thank you so much for the Golden Mangrove Award. Thank you to everyone that's on the committee and everyone that participates. And a huge shout out to Sheila, because as a brand new group who hadn't done this before, she really helped us a lot and made the process really smooth. So thank you.
Awesome job, Dana. Are there any questions for Dana?
Not a question so much as just a, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to give a huge kudos to you and your team, Dana. I think it's such an inspiring project and really showed how a small but mighty team could make a big impact. And I'm certainly looking forward to future proposals that you have.
Thank you so much.
I have
Dana,
a question.
This is wonderful.
Oh, sorry.
Very, oops. Oh,
go ahead,
very
Sue.
Inspiring. Thanks, Liz. Have you considered giving this talk to other local communities? Because to see such a big transformation, I think that would be really beneficial.
Yeah, I definitely have considered it. I'm really interested in recreating this project, not only in Gulfport, but in underserved communities in St. Pete and in Tampa Bay. I think that this is a project that I would be happy to do more behind the scenes and shadow work. I would be happy to help people through this process on the back end, on the grant writing end, and find other leadership and other groups in Tampa Bay that are serving those underserved communities and partner with them to do similar projects, because I think it is repeatable. I think it has a high impact, and I think it's just a great it's the best kind of project. It's so inspiring. So yes, I have thought about partnering with other groups, and if you have any leads, please let me know.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Liz. Thank you, Dana. That was a good segue. I am working in a rain garden that TBET funded this year for the League of Women Voters. So I helped with the planting, and now I joined their sustainability committee and helping them make sure the plants survive before we, start putting the name placards up and stuff. So my questions for you, since you've already established that rain garden and have experience, like we're having trouble getting more volunteers. I think we have quite a larger area than what you've covered too. So getting people out there to weed and water has been difficult, and wondering how you got people more involved, and also if you want to help us since you're looking.
Yeah, actually, can you remind me where your site is? Is it in front of Sanderlin?
Yes, it's in front of Sanderlin on South 22nd.
And the person who started that project is
Laura Crabtree.
Laura Crabtree. Okay, I worked with Laura on your application for your grant. And
I joined after, so I was actually
awesome.
On the council that read the grants.
That's so cool.
I joined after though.
That's wonderful. I just wanted to say I love that project. I'm in that project. We should talk after the meeting. I'd be happy to coordinate with you and help you cross-pollinate with other groups. And I just want to say I'm a big fan of that project. And when it was at its infancy, I was like, go Laura, go, let's do it. So
wonderful.
Definitely.
We'll connect after. Thank you.
Hey,
Mhm.
and Liz, just so you know, I think we provided your supplies for that event, the shovels and wheelbarrows, keeping us beautiful. So any way we can help with getting you volunteers or additional support, let me know. We dropped off a bunch of stuff, and I know we picked up stuff from your site, but we didn't help with volunteers, but we can. So let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you,
And
Stephanie.
Dana, you and I mean, we need to talk anyways, but we need to talk about other
Yeah,
projects in South St. Pete. So
yeah, definitely.
Dina, I've got a question.
Oh, go ahead,
Um,
Jan.
Since you've installed it, has the garden experienced like inundation from Boca Ciega Bay? Because I know you planned for that.
Yeah, to my knowledge, we've had heavy inundation just from stormwater runoff from the parking lot, but I don't think we've had inundation yet all the way from Boca Ciega. But even when they're not receiving direct inundation, they're receiving salt air. So those plants are salt tolerant. And so I know they're still getting some salty air, but I don't think we've received full inundation, like a flood up the street yet. But it is hurricane season. So, no, we haven't. We haven't yet. But one of our members, several of our members live within just a couple blocks. And so they keep a close eye on it and let us know.
And then Paige Lansky from Tampa Bay Watch said, "Wonderful work, Dana. As a previous Gulfport resident, I can't wait to go check it out. What a great location for stormwater outreach." So you're getting lots of kudos in the comments.
Thank you so much, Paige. That's really kind. Thank you, all of you, for your kind words and your support. And thank you for this program. You know, if it didn't exist, this just would have been a conversation that I had with some friends. And instead, this has turned into a project that keeps connecting to other projects and keeps leading to other things. And it keeps on giving. It's a project that now that it's up and running, it's not only filtering stormwater runoff, but because of the signage and the location, it has new participants and new people interacting with it every single day. So I can't say thank you enough times. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're just so grateful that we got to work with Tampa Bay Estuary Program. And Sheila especially, thank you so much for everything.
You're a breeze. Any last questions for Dana? Great. Well, thanks, Dana. And I think I speak for everyone on the committee that we really look forward to future projects that we see from you. So moving right along, I have a bunch of updates to provide to the CAC, and I'm hoping that you guys can provide some input on some of these updates. So first and foremost, our strategic plan states that we will clearly articulate and review the roles and responsibilities of each of our committees as part of our management conference. So in keeping with this plan and with lots of help from Jan and Dylan, we developed a roles and responsibilities sheet for the CAC. So this basically defines what members are responsible for and how to be successful in your role as a CAC member. This is available for you as well as any interested applicants on our website. So I did see some folks perusing it after I sent out the agenda because it is linked in the agenda. Did anybody have an opportunity to look at it? Can everybody see it? Should I zoom in? Is that better? So I did base a lot of this information on some of the background information found in the bylaws, which is something that we're going to talk about next. So really the key responsibilities that we pulled out were that CAC members should at at least volunteer for one TBEP sponsored event, whether that's a Give a Day or a citizen science event. So one event each year. And then periodically assist with different public forums as it's related to bay restoration. Provide feedback on the views of your communities and interested groups that you guys represent, and relate any goals of the CCMP for Tampa Bay. And really, I think the main takeaway of this is to promote and champion our core values and programmatic priorities and goals of the estuary program within the broader community and your specific networks.
Should we mention the tarpon tag in there somewhere specifically? I don't know.
I don't think we did, but I think that could be a good thing to add in. I want to make sure that this document is actionable. So what would you want to say, like reference of the tarpon tag?
Well, we might include it with the bullet point about the Bay Mini Grant program, since the funds from it support that. And promote the tarpon tag.
That's smart.
I'm not sure where to put that in that sentence, but.
Okay, I'm just going to add a comment right now.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't think of that when we were reviewing it before.
Oh, no, that's good. And so this document also includes like the co-chair's responsibilities, as well as the estuary program's responsibilities. So are there any questions, comments about this document? Do you want more time to look over the document?
Are we needing to approve this, or you just want us to
I'm kind of hoping that to get some general consensus of like, yeah, we want to approve this. We're happy with this. We agree that these are our roles and responsibilities, and kind of move forward. I don't think we really need like a formal approval. I just wanted to get kind of a general consensus of the group to make sure that you guys are okay with this document. You're okay with the sort of the roles and responsibilities that are outlined here. It makes sense to you, and that kind of thing. But we don't need to do like a formal, we all vote, since we're kind of like a fact-finding organization. But if that's the only like main comment about the tarpon tag, unless I hear that folks would like more time to review it, I'm gonna add that in there. I can send it, the tarpon tag component, send it your way, and then those changes, and then add a final version to the website.
There was something towards the very bottom about missing members. And I had not had a chance to look at that before. Actively identify and recruit missing members.
So, and that brings in components of the bylaws. So in the bylaws, it outlines that there are 27 members maximum that are allowed to be on the CAC. And that's 17 at-large members, and then 17 at-large members and 10 appointed members by the policy board. So what this is really getting at is kind of that it would be like our job or my job to maintain an active list of who is participating, continually participating, and actively engaged in the CAC, and then kind of if there are any open slots to actively be recruiting people to kind of fill those slots.
Okay.
So Sheila,
Yeah, go ahead, Paige.
So I see in here and looking at this, and I guess I'm kind of surprised to see there's not and everyone's going to hate me for saying this, but mandating that we participate in some way in the selection of TBEP mini grant or like the Golden Mangrove subcommittee. So you guys do not require members to participate every other year or something like that? Are you guys able to get enough people interested in participating in those that you don't need to require it?
Yeah, I don't, I mean, we promote and support, or it just simply says like assist with the grant recipient. But yeah, we generally, just in my time that I've been here, I've never had any issues recruiting folks to sit on those committees during that time. And I think that we've had a really great mix of kind of the tenured folks and the folks who have done it several times, as well as new folks. So I think it gives people a different kind of an opportunity to get their hands wet in it. So, but I, at this point, haven't had any issues finding folks.
That's great to hear. Now I feel guilty, like I really need to do it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be soon looking for Bay mini grants, and I'm going to sign you up.
Sounds great.
Just kidding.
So you said 17 at large, but I think this says 18.
Says
and the bylaws say
18.
18. Yeah. But we probably have one more policy board member. Is that true? There used to be 9 and now there's 10 or something.
Yes. Right, let me double check.
Yeah, adding Pasco.
Right, okay, yeah. Thanks, Maya. So do y'all want more time to look at this? What do you think about it? I'm gonna start doing in-person meetings if I can't pull any any conversations from you.
Sheila, I'm not sure. Do you want us just to approve it or to make a motion, or it looks good to me.
I would say
I
feel good with it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that I might disagree with is the to give a day to the Bay to volunteer once at least during the year. Maybe if people are on those committees, the Golden Mangrove or the selection committees, that could possibly count towards the volunteer effort.
The volunteer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is
Just an
really
idea.
good. Yeah, that's a really good. So I can add that on. That it's kind of just Oh, go ahead.
I say you could rework that language to say and actively participate on a committee. So it's, I mean, you can be present as a committee member, but you need to actively be engaged instead of just volunteer at an event.
Okay.
Well, it does say or other special event.
So yeah, that counts.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
does that count as committees or are those other special events that are TBEP sponsored?
I
I
don't
can
think we're going to
say,
be holding anybody's feet to the fire, but we would like everybody to participate. That's the main thing in whatever way you're able to. In addition to attending the quarterly meetings, just to be out there in the community and engaged along with TBEP.
okay, great. Well then, if you guys are feeling good about that, I'll make some of the changes that were suggested, and then kind of throw it back to you just for one quick look, and then we'll throw it on the website. Cool. Thank you very much. So kind of moving along, I moved some stuff around, but I think it makes sense to kind of talk about the bylaws next. And so typically I have sent these out when folks have joined, like new members have joined. So I can send this out to folks if you haven't seen them in a while. But basically, I really looked at this document a lot when I was developing the roles and responsibilities for the CAC. And it seems it seems like these bylaws are very outdated and kind of restrictive for new members potentially joining. So the last update, it says it was amended and restated in 2016, but it was officially adopted by the committee in 2014. So some of the things that that really stuck out to me as kind of maybe needing to be revised were that each one of the applicants who wants to join the committee needs to be reviewed and approved by the policy board, which isn't something that I have been doing in my 2 years of being here. And I'm not sure if that's kind of just seems a little bit restrictive to me, considering this is kind of a more fact-finding organization. It also puts a cap on the number of CAC members, a max cap of 27 people, which I'm not exactly sure why it was capped originally. I know our technical advisory committee, some meetings have like hundreds of, like 100 people there. And so personally, to me, the more people that want to participate on our community advisory committee meeting or on our committee, and the more people actively engaged and involved and learning about the estuary programs, initiatives, and learning these things, then the better. And then it also, in some of the membership outlines, it says that members serve a staggered 2-year terms with written requests to stay on the committee. So after 2 years, you either have to write a request to stay on or you're out of here. And so these are some of the things that really stuck out to me, just as kind of, like I said, being restrictive of members from retaining members, but also from obtaining members, because it was kind of like jumping through hoops. So I am suggesting if it's of interest to the of the committee, then I would say I would suggest forming a subcommittee to really take some time and look over this document and review it and make some changes, and then we would then bring those changes to the next CAC meeting in September.
Sheila, I can help do that.
Awesome.
The original 27 members was because there were no at-large members. There were 9 entities.
Okay.
That were the originals, and each governmental entity appointed 3 members. And that was how 27, that's where the 27 came from. And then because a lot of the governmental entities were not appointing their members and the participation was dropping, we went down to 2 and now to 1, and then filled it in with at-large members. So I believe that was, I know that was where the 27 came from.
Okay.
And I can't see any reason to have it capped at that.
Okay.
And if it's a 2-year term, I think I need to request.
Do you know, had you seen the staggered 2-year term before? Do you know why that language might have been thrown in there?
I think maybe what Marjorie was saying too is that a lot of the appointees were just kind of an honorary position and they never even showed up. So maybe they were doing that just to try to make sure that people were actually participating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So does the committee think that it is time to kind of revise this and kind of change some of the language to reflect where we are and actually kind of what we're doing now as a committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So the process would be, once a subcommittee would review this and come up with like a red line document to say this is what we're recommending the changes should be, then does that revised document need to go back to the policy committee to be approved?
Yes. Yeah, I would say like 2/3 committee, 2/3 of the CAC would need to approve this new document. And then that would go to the management board and then the policy board. To officially adopt it.
Sheila, I'd be happy to be on the subcommittee also. I love QC.
Awesome.
This is Christine.
This is Stephanie. I'm also happy to join that.
Cool, thank you. Great. Well, I think the three of you would be enough to review this, unless there's anyone else that is interested in participating. Marjorie, for the historical context.
Sure.
No, I'm not volunteering you.
No, I would not mind. It's an easy enough thing to do.
Okay. Awesome, thank you. Great, well, that was easy.
Okay, so who is on the committee then? Stephanie, Liz, Marjorie, and
Christine.
Christine, okay.
Yes.
Just getting it audibles because I know you're recording it. Are you recording it? No, you're not recording it. In
Yes,
case
I'm
you're going to
recording
do notes. Okay.
I haven't been doing notes after CAC meetings, but I can do notes if folks would like me to do notes. If people like read them and are they useful. Okay.
We don't need notes because we're here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that can be a lot of work. I'm not sure you need to add that to your plate, Sheila.
Okay, thank you. You can sign into the recording.
I think, Sheila, sorry, if there's anything that comes up that maybe was not on the agenda that like somebody brings up, if you could just possibly send that out, I think that was probably all I would need at least.
Okay, yeah. That's easy to do. So the next thing is just kind of a membership update. Again, kind of keeping you guys, making sure that you know that I'm tracking active members. So we currently have 19 members active. 3 of them are appointees, appointed by the policy board. And then we have 16 just at-large members. Fun fact, we have 6 new members since the pandemic started in 2020. So maybe the pandemic has boosted some environmentalism. But we do have plenty of space for more people, hoping to really in the next year boost the diversity of members on the CAC and maybe include some students. I know Dr. Porter had some students in mind. Unfortunately, I don't think he's here today. But I know, Joe, you've been talking with Dr. Porter, right?
Correct.
Okay. So, yeah, and then I also updated the CAC website so that any interested parties can just pop on there, and there's a link to the application and my email so that they can send their application directly to me. So trying to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more accessible for folks to have all of the information about the CAC to help them kind of at least get the background information about the committee, and then also to have access to that application. So if you have any potential friends or folks that you think are interested, please send them my way.
Particularly if they are members of underserved communities or are young people, students.
Exactly. So that Marjorie can tell them everything that has happened on the CAC the past 30 years and in the in the estuary.
Is there a way to encourage the policy people to make those? Evidently, there's at least 6 or possibly 7 appointed members missing.
So we are going to be bringing that up at in the next kind of briefings prior to the next board meetings. But we're also trying to get some applications in-house so that we can kind of match up an interested person with a open appointee slot and kind of facilitate that conversation or that meeting so that we can kind of do appointeeship that way.
Sounds good.
And then the last thing I really had wanted to talk about as the part of the CAC update, are meeting locations. So a few months ago, I sent out a survey to kind of gauge your interest of having in-person meetings. And I know it was kind of a mixed, kind of some folks didn't respond to it, and then some folks were like, had differing opinions. So I kind of just want to restart that conversation, and I'm considering proposing maybe two virtual meetings and then two in-person meetings each year, and then maybe make like two of those or three of those required, maybe two of them required. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you all have any interest, or if you all have any opinion on the meeting locations, or like the idea of potentially doing 2 and 2, like 2 in person, 2 online. There's also potential we could do hybrid meetings. I don't know what. I know that we kind of have folks that are still working and in the workforce, and I want to obviously encourage your continued involvement in the CAC. So any thoughts on that front?
So I will say from my standpoint, I absolutely love the idea of in-person meetings. And I think just as you kind of stated, you get a lot better discussion and people are able to connect with each other better and network. The only thing I will say is, I mean, like today is a perfect example. I have to pick up 2 kids at 4 o'clock. You know, I can't be at an in-person meeting if we have sort of these evening or late afternoon meetings. It would have to be during the day, which I know, like you said, there are people in the workforce. So maybe we could consider kind of, you know, doing different times and variable times throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Like changing times each meeting.
Yeah, so like on one day we would do a 3 o'clock, but then another we would do a, 1 o'clock or something like that. And
okay.
So making it hybrid if it is an in-person for those who can't attend.
Yeah.
And Sheila, I kind of wondered, you've gotten so many additional people during the pandemic, whether it was because of the ease of the meetings, of them being online. I mean, I've always had the in-person meetings. I've enjoyed those, but with such a wide range that we pull from for these meetings, I think that perhaps you've gotten additional people because of the ease of them being able to participate.
Right. Really good point. Really good point.
I agree with both of them, and I think in-person meetings are helpful to get to know each other. We could be on the committee for a year or two and not meet, and I think it's helpful to meet each other face to face, or at least have like an annual meeting at the end of the year or whenever you want it, to have some type of social so we all get together and meet each other. I know I work full time, so like a mid-afternoon one or a midday kind of meeting is not very conducive to my schedule. Afternoons are better, or evenings, and I can do hybrid or in person. But I think at least like one in person a year would be helpful.
I was going to also suggest that annual. I have several committees that I'm on that have either forced the in-person, which again, families, people who have crazy work schedules have a struggle to get to. So we have seen a drop in attendance to those meetings, but having that hybrid option, or that one time, maybe not even like true meeting, like we used to do with the potlucks, like the gathering, do a meeting, but have it more be that social aspect, would be great to see people in person, outside of our normal meeting times.
I like that idea too, like the once a year and make it a potluck. And actually, if we could do it spring or fall when the weather is nice, it would be great to do it in an outdoor location where we can actually enjoy the bay and its habitats.
Okay.
That's
Maybe
what
the
I was
other thing
thinking,
about
Jan.
having in-person meetings during the week is we are spread out geographically too, so it's hard for everybody to travel to get to one place. So, and I don't know if maybe it would be easier if the once a year potluck thing, if we could do it on a weekend. I don't know if that's an option. That might
I would
make it
just
harder
throw
for
in,
some people. I don't know.
sorry, I totally second Jan's idea of an outdoor gathering, both for the stimulation of being in the environment that we all like and socializing, and perhaps that location could even be varied because we are so widespread in the watershed. If it's a once a year event, or whatever frequency folks decide. I don't know if that's too logistically challenging if we were going to have some PowerPoint presentations or anything, but might be nice to spread it around and vary the convenience for different members.
Yeah, definitely. I think that potentially we could also throw in maybe like a site visit to maybe a park, one of our local parks, or a Bay Mini Grant recipient or something like that, if that would be of interest to the group.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that sounds lovely to me.
Yeah, I'd love to go out and see some completed projects.
I know of a good rain garden you guys could go to.
Great. Well, thanks, guys. That gives me some good information. If we did do a sort of hybrid meeting, would some folks who attend in person, or would you just prefer that we continue online, like virtual?
I would attend, absolutely, if it was maybe even later in the evenings, like if it was started at 6 o'clock or something, I could definitely attend and would enjoy that.
Okay.
I'd attend in person too as well.
Sheila, I just want to caution about what we can promise in terms of a hybrid approach. Like if you're trying to do both, like to have an in-person meeting that you're streaming live, depending on like if you're changing venues, they're not all set up to do that. And then most of the venues that we have are actually like pretty poor in terms of providing good audio for like capturing community discussions and stuff like that. So we could probably accommodate a hybrid approach, but I just would like to make sure that we're clear for everybody's expectations that it might not be a really enjoyable experience from the remote perspective for a hybrid.
Okay. Thanks, Maya. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. This gives me at least some ideas to move forward and start planning next year's meetings. So the next thing I have on the agenda, and I apologize, this is kind of a discussion-heavy meeting, so now that we have adopted or developed a roles and responsibilities document, we're revising the bylaws, and based on our strategic plan, the role of the CAC is really to act as our citizen ambassadors for the Bay. So to promote and champion our core values, our programmatic priorities, and the goals of the program with, like I said, like your community and your different networks. We also recognize that we have a very large watershed and that our projects span across all areas of bay management and across all different habitats. And so we want to serve you as a committee better, but we kind of need some of your guidance. So this is really focused on what resources you guys need to be better at or to feel confident to spread TVEP messages and to help us spread kind of some of our priorities throughout the different networks. So So to talk about this, I don't have any really formal presentation, but really I'm kind of just hoping, like, what topics are you interested in? Like, is there anything in particular that sort of aligns with our programmatic priorities or our main themes in our CCNP that really interest you? And it could be manatees, water quality, birds, microplastics, kind of anything. I'm just trying to get, like, what sort of information are you guys as a individually, as a group, like, what are you interested in?
Or what are we not providing you? What don't you know? What do you not feel comfortable about? And understand that this is a safe space. Like, we've had this kind of conversation with some of the new members of the Nitrogen Management Consortium dealing with issues around the summertime pyridinium algae bloom in Old Tampa Bay. And we found out that a lot of people just don't have time to read all the papers that we're putting out, and they don't understand what's going on up there. And, you know, they finally were able to kind of say that, and it's useful for us to kind of know where you're at, what you don't know, so that we can kind of help address that too.
So Sheila, one of the things that you, Jan, and I spoke about was the idea of having something like a fact book, or I think pocket facts we called them, but just small, digestible information that, I mean, so many of these environmental issues have so many layers to them, and they get quite complicated, right? The way that the Piney Point spill may or may not have an impact on algal blooms, right? But having the information in a way that we can communicate it quickly and succinctly and engagingly to people, whether that's pocket facts or fact books that we hand out, or it's things that we just have in our desk drawer that we can refer to and look over and kind of refresh our memory on how these different forces interplay. I think that would be really helpful.
So this isn't so much adding something that we need, but just to say, like, how you guys did what was that program called? The lateral sewage line, the poop pipe up, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, that was really great, and I think having sort of, you know, resources like that, and just web pages like that have sort of the basic facts on a lot of these things, with good visuals, that when people ask us questions, we can disseminate that information. So I guess that's not so much like of a need of a specific subject, but I really think the way you guys did that sort of project was well done.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, because that gives us an idea of, like, what are some things that we're doing well, and maybe if Pipe Up is kind of a campaign that we can use as sort of a template. So are there any interests that you that maybe you're interested in learning about, that you, like, one maybe would want to see, like, a presentation on, or you want some, like, a pocketbook facts? I know just in presentations, or when I do panel discussions, a lot of times I get asked about manatees. Is that something that you guys are interested in? Are you interested in learning about manatees? Are you
Hi,
Sheila.
this is Tiara here. Sorry if I spoke over someone. I'm interested in learning about what initiatives, if there are any going on currently, there are in the area to educate boaters about manatees. I know that there had been some projects and some studies a couple of years ago, and I would be interested in learning what's been going on in the area. And of course, if I don't know how you normally run your meetings, but I could give a general presentation on manatees in general for the meeting as well, if that's something people would be interested in.
Wasn't there talk of reactivating the MAC?
There was, but I've heard that it's on hold
Okay, because
currently. That is something that I'm interested in and being a part of.
the MAC was pretty, I
Yeah.
mean, I was involved in that back in the 90s, I think, and a couple of housing developments when they went in, they asked the TPEP members to come and talk about manatees, and we did some like homeowner education for new waterfront properties, and then we created some flyers. It's probably in the old, it probably archived, but we created some flyers and brochures and voter information things that went out.
So the MAC has continued to meet. They just have been meeting one time per year. And the reason that it sort of tapered off was based on the willingness of participants to do something more frequently than that. And that's basically because the slow speed zones that they had been working towards and providing feedback on were fully implemented by the late 2010s. So that's sort of the trajectory of that group. And so if it were to be, reinvigorated in a way where they're meeting more regularly than that, we'd have to have, set of actions sort of that they would be addressing and providing that counsel on.
Maybe a new initiative for them could be the effect of red tide on the manatee populations in Tampa Bay, with an eye to try and get people to reduce their nutrient pollution that they're generating.
And also to expand that to, your specialty, Sheila, seagrasses and how it affects all fish and all biodiversity within the bay that depend on the seagrasses, and then translate that to boaters, anglers and bird watchers, kayakers, that are out. Somehow we can digest, like what was said before, the digestible information to get that out of the impact of everything.
That's something that,
and then, yeah, there you go. Sorry.
That we're working on for the Indian River Lagoon. Right now, we've been spending the last couple of months creating a lot of educational content and figuring out how we can encourage people around the lagoon to use less fertilizer. So if that is an initiative that was going to be started, we would definitely be interested in taking part in that.
I also think the pet waste thing needs to come back. I took your old decals and sent them to a stick. Sorry, I'm playing with putty. I took them to a sticker shop and had them printed, and I've been putting them on some of the garbage cans in my neighborhood. It seems to help in the alleys, but there's so many new residents that have no idea how water works here and where it all goes. I'm just quite surprised in my own neighborhood alone that they're used to living other places where pet waste should be a problem everywhere, but they're so used to pet waste just being, left, and it's not a big deal, and not understanding they need to pick it up.
Another thing that might not be like a mass outreach thing like those, but might help to educate us, the members of the committee, is I know I see particularly on social media and comments a lot of times that there's still a lot of anger within the community toward municipalities and the county because they have this idea that they are the source of a lot of the pollution. And I think it would help us to have a rundown of the things that, like this, the wastewater stormwater committee and the other interlocal partners, what they are doing and have done to reduce pollution, because I think they're doing a much better job than people realize, and that they need to know that, because at this point we've gotten rid of so many of the point sources of pollution that most of them are us rather than our government. And that even though there were spills back in 2017, that the causes of those are being addressed, and that we're moving forward on solutions to that, and that we could maybe communicate that to the community more effectively.
Yeah, that's a really great suggestion, Jan, and that's something that we've been talking about internally too.
Mhm.
So another question that we have that would help us kind of formulate some of these resources is how would you communicate any sort of information, like if you had all of the information that we wanted you to have about the estuary program and our goals, how would you communicate that like with your community? Are you giving presentations on a regular basis to different organizations? Are you tabling? So do you need like physical resources, or is it more of like an informal kind of conversation with your friends? I know personally I do both, or like kind of all three, but I do have a lot of those informal conversations with friends and family. So just trying to gauge of like how do you guys spread knowledge and spread information throughout the community?
I think for Keep Pinellas Beautiful, you know, definitely tabling information. When we do outreach events, we try to have like a partners corner where we can showcase materials from some of our partners that can't necessarily be at that outreach event. We also have a partners corner on our newsletter where we try to like create materials. Tampa Bay Water is a great example. They give us, you know, little stories or whatever their highlight is for the week, and we throw it in there. And so any like educational posts that we could share through like social media or on our newsletter that just add that outreach component, that would be beneficial for us.
I'm going to second pretty much what Stephanie said there. I think everything that we do is not going to be physical copies. It's going to be something that we can post to social media or on our e-blast or in our newsletter. And we really would never need anything, you know, like physical unless it was a big campaign to get something out there. And then, of course, you know, I myself personally or Tampa Bay Watch would be happy to go and spread those out far and wide.
Okay. So other
Yeah,
than
handouts just seem like they're creating more waste. But something like what Erica mentioned, stickers and that sort of thing that can be placed, you know, at the point of use or whatever to inform would be good.
Yeah, we do a lot of QR codes at our outreach. So if we had like a one pager that had a QR code on it, Sheila, that could then direct to like CAC Matters or educational materials on TBEP's website or whatever the focus is for that content, we would laminate that and repurpose that document at our outreach. So that could be something if we just have a combination of information in one spot that we could link a QR code to, that would be used pretty frequently for us.
awesome, these are really great, really great. Any other folks that we haven't heard from yet?
Would it be helpful? I mean, and it's been a while since I've like searched our website and stuff, but having a Google Drive with access to resources. So if say we were going to do a presentation and needed some additional content to either print or share or use at that, being able to tap into something like that, or would it be better for us to touch base with like you or Joe if we had a specific topic of interest that we need more information on? What would that be beneficial, having that all in one spot with easy access?
I'm happy to curate a Google Drive with presentations and different information if that's something that you all would find useful.
I'm just thinking like if we don't want to have the trifold documents or the one pagers printed and available, like just having access to be able to print those on an as needed basis might be beneficial if we're trying to put together packets for students for a presentation or something.
Yeah, definitely. We can definitely do that.
I think that sort of thing would be better in like a communications library on the website, so that like HOAs and like other people who aren't directly affiliated with the CAC could tap into them too.
yeah, I mean, it's not just for us. If there's something like that that exists, just having access to that to be able to send people to or refer to for our use.
It's on the list, Stephanie. It will get done. It has to get done in the next year, so.
You guys are rocking it.
So for other folks who maybe aren't involved in like a specific organization, like maybe a better way to think about is how do you get your information? Do you get it through a newspaper? Do you get it through magazines or social media, or kind of how are you guys getting your information?
Sheila, can I ask you a question? This is Erica.
Yeah.
So in terms of that kind of question, that's going to be a different answer because that's a preaching to the choir who's seeking out the right answer kind of thing, right? So maybe it's more of a question of what ways do you find successful to provide information to your stakeholders or your end users or your underserved audiences that are working. Because that's what we also want to model some of our stuff after, right? Because the people who are here or who we find engaged with us constantly,
right,
already know where to go for the good stuff. What we need to know is how are some of those underserved audiences getting their information and finding the right stuff finally instead of weeding through stuff.
I would say one suggestion might be to look into, writing articles and making outreach materials to go into like news apps. I mean, I think almost everybody I know has a specific type of news apps they use, whether it's smart apps or Flipboard, or I don't really know all the names of them, but everybody I know who's not in our field all uses those to look at sort of local stuff around them, especially the younger audience, obviously. So that might be something that's worth looking into.
Great suggestion.
Is that something that any CAC member would be interested in doing, like a letter to the editor kind of thing, but to some of these more distributed news sources?
I'd be interested, but I think I have to ask the college, right? Because even if you write stuff as a citizen, people can look you up, and then you have to be sure that I use the right verbiage to indicate that it doesn't represent the views or policies of my academic institution, blah, 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 or governmental institution. I don't know what, I'm sure that our legal team knows what the proper words are I'm supposed to use to close something out, but.
Another thought also might be if there's certain campaigns, so if we do pick back up with the pet waste, or if there's other big campaigns that may be more targeted with going to civic groups or going to, oh my God, I can't even think of the word, like city rec centers and things. Like, I mean, we'd be happy to distribute information if there's like flyers, because like at the rec centers, it's more hands-on materials that are being picked up or posted on bulletin boards or things like that. Or going to, I'm always at neighborhood meetings, so having things like that that can be brought up if these conversations come up in the chats. Those are where I'm connecting with groups that we're not, normally meeting with. So again, that comes back to that library of resources that we can tap into to pull for these types of events and situations.
So again, like for those of you who maybe aren't doing this for a living, are your communities interested in like what's happening with the Bay? Or do you have those conversations with your friends or your family?
I do. I talk to a lot of people in my home who live in my neighborhood. Our homeowners group has a newsletter, and I think they're frequently the people are most interested in what is it that they should know and what is it that they can do. What can be their involvement?
Okay.
I agree. I think to piggyback on that, I have a neighborhood association too, and they're just starting to get involved post-pandemic, and they're always looking for something to do. So they have cleanups, they have walking cleanups within the neighborhood and stuff. So I think there's people are out there searching for what more they can do as individuals and not look at it as such a big hurdle that there's no point of even trying because they don't know what's out there that each individual can do. I talk about it with friends that are not in environmental biz all the time. But it's that like push and pull of what people want to receive and what they can give or what they're willing to give and give up as in their habits and stuff, how they can contribute to less pollution, less emissions, less stuff that goes down the drain that goes into our waters. So I think a lot of people pull from social media too, their information. And I know that I repost a lot environmental things on my own social media. That other things that I follow, like you guys or my foundation or whatever, I'll just repost it on my personal as well.
Sheila, at one time, I think the first time that I took a class in community-based social marketing, it was offered by the estuary program. Rebuilding some skill sets around how community-based social marketing works and how, to find out what your target audience may respond to and what underserved audiences may respond to and what participating audiences already respond to, that kind of thing. It'd be fun to maybe take a class from you or all of us take a class together and stir up the pot and get some ideas moving forward about how to, think a little different than we already are and try some new stuff. I'm sure that there's new information since the last time I took that session, but if that's an opportunity.
That's a great idea. Thanks. So you guys have pretty much already answered this, but about more focusing on like what resources would you most likely use to help to communicate some of TBEP related information. I know Dylan mentioned kind of the pocket facts, or maybe would it be helpful to bring like some of our like tech project presentations just to give you guys kind of an idea of some of our like science priorities and kind of that side, or are you focused more on like issues based? Would it be would you like to have a presentation about kind of an overview of seagrass or an overview of nitrogen cycling in Tampa Bay?
All of the above. Kidding aside, I personally would love to learn a bit more about the science. I think that helps kind of give that background knowledge. We wouldn't necessarily be talking to people about the science, but it would certainly give us a good foundation from which we could talk about more accessible issues with people. And I think the other, so I'd love to hear about the science and would love to hear about whether might not be a project that you're working on specifically, it might be something that you are an expert in. Sheila, if you want to give a presentation about seagrass, that would be great. I'd love to hear the different components, how you measure seagrass, how it impacts different wildlife and water quality and all that stuff. I think all would be very, very beneficial and certainly interesting.
Just a reminder to all the CAC members that TBEP has a great YouTube channel, And in particular, if you're interested in the sciencey technical stuff, that there's TAC meetings that are recorded on there where you can go and listen to them at any time if you can't tune in on go to meeting when they're having them live. You can always listen in later to find out what things are of interest to the organization at present.
Thanks for that plug, Jan. Awesome. Well, we're getting close to, we've only got like 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to kind of to talk at the end. So if you have any other suggestions that are popping in your head, please throw them in the chat. And thank you all for speaking up and providing input. I know that Joe was typing voraciously, and hopefully it captured everything. But thanks so much for speaking up. We really appreciate it. So then moving on to staff announcements and roundtable, just to let everybody know, we had our 7th annual Bay Area Science Information Symposium in March, which was only 3 months ago, but seems like an eternity ago. We had over 200, almost 300 attendees, almost 80 presentations, and then 2 workshops before the start of the actual event. So it was 13 sessions over 4 days, and there was a whole bunch of sessions ranging from citizen science and debris monitoring to land use changes, seagrasses and other macrophytes, and then kind of a shellfish and coastal acidification. So a lot of really amazing talks were presented during this few days. So if you're interested, I highly recommend going on to our website. Yeah, we also have YouTube playlists of all the session recordings. Again, a lot of great information there. So if you're interested in that, please hop on and have a look or have a listen. Another just quick reminder that it's getting to Bay Mini Grant season. So on July 15th, the next round of Bay Mini Grants is going to open, and we are going to be focusing on IS2, which is centered around invasive species removal and prevention and eradication. So please have folks, if you're interested in submitting a proposal, please do, or tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your HOA groups to please apply. And then another quick thing, Marcus, Beck, as well as everyone at TVEP and all of our many partners worked really hard and actually now have a peer-reviewed paper in the literature, and so it's published. It's the initial findings of the Piney Point spill, or discharge, excuse me, the Piney Point discharges, and Marcus and Joe worked together to develop this kind of graphical abstract, which is really awesome and just gives you an overview of some of those initial findings. So even if you don't want to take the time to read through all of the project overview and the results, I highly recommend taking some time to at least read the abstract and look at that graphical abstract so you can see what happened in the bay. It's actually really pretty cool how the bay responded. Not pretty cool, but interesting how the bay responded. And then Bee Floridian, just a reminder, it's the summer. Joe, do you wanna add anything to that?
Sure, yeah. So as I imagine a lot of you know, the ordinance is in effect, and like Sheila mentioned, it is the summer rainy season. So as we normally do around this time each year, we start refreshing the social media pages for B Floridian, really the Facebook page. We start making sure that some of those resources, whether it be billboard ads, digital files that our partners can use, which is what's happening this year. We try to make sure that all that stuff's available on the website in that jump to section that Sheila's scrolling over at the moment. And this is kind of something similar to what I think we would want to make available to the CAC members, is kind of this repository of resources. But either way, this year we're going to be, like I said, focusing on just pushing the message on the socials, and then also we've got a couple of billboards in Hillsborough County that we're investing in for a month-long run. So that's actually starting next week and running until July 24th, I believe. So you can keep an eye out for those.
Over there, right?
What's up?
They have a new ordinance over there too,
Yes.
don't they?
Yeah, so that's why we were kind of focusing heavy in Hillsborough County this year. We've also got some of these new tear sheets, which looks like my screen's blurring them, but these are just the same tear sheets we've always had, but for Hillsborough County. So if anyone thinks that they'd benefit from having some of these, happy to get those to you.
I just want to emphasize how exciting and important it is that Hillsborough County has adopted the fertilizer application ban during the summertime rainy season. That was a big missing part of our nitrogen management strategy. And so if anything good came out of Piney Point, it was providing the political will to get that done finally. So the only community in our watershed that does not have a summertime application ban is Pasco County now. And it seems like they are beginning to consider modifying and modernizing their fertilizer ordinance as well too. So a lot of people don't know that it's in place in Hillsborough County this year. So help us get the word out about that.
The news release that Pinellas sent out, and Pinellas kind of led the way along with Tampa Bay Estuary Program partnering together, said that 90 communities throughout Florida now have fertilizer bans. There it is at the bottom, which is just awesome.
We have an underground network of folks that are sharing resources of how to get these implemented.
And then Dr. Sayuda, Amy, you want to mention something about microplastics?
Sure. Thank you, Sheila. Shannon and I just wanted to take the time to share with you guys a little bit about the work that we've been doing. Hopefully we can do a larger presentation at some point in the future, maybe at the next meeting. But Shannon Gowans and I have been working to set up a monitoring program for microplastics in Tampa Bay since 2017 with funding from TBERF and now from Hillsborough County Environmental Protection Commission's Pollution Recovery Fund. And we have standardized methods within the Bay for monitoring and have set a baseline, which has helped us even during the Piney Point discharge last year to be able to see sort of a change during that time to our baseline. It's going to be a slow process, sort of building up this data set and having a baseline, but then being able to understand what sort of changes we might be seeing in microplastics. What we see so far is it seems like most of the microplastics seem to be coming in with stormwater runoff, and they're sort of distributed throughout the Bay. We've attached to your agenda a document where we've made some suggestions and we've shared this also with the TAC as well, where there are places where we could add to the revised CCMP moving forward to think about monitoring microplastics and putting an emphasis on monitoring microplastics in Tampa Bay moving forward and being a model for other estuary systems. Shannon, did you want to add anything that I'm forgetting right now?
And I would just highlight that we added some pieces. There is definitely some pieces there where community outreach is really important. So bringing the CAC in more about how what we do on land does end up in the ocean, both with the macroplastics and the microplastics. And Amy and I have also been running a reduced single-use program at Eckerd, which we're expanding out now to St. Pete as well, to really try and reduce that single-use plastic consumption, which will hopefully in the long term reduce that plastic load into the bay.
So we just wanted to put this on your radar, and hopefully we can do a presentation at the next meeting or a future meeting, and looking to, get people thinking more about this and in pushing forward an effort to keep the monitoring program sustained in the area and in Tampa Bay. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I will send out this document along with just a meeting follow-up so that everybody has access to review it. And this is kind of really perfect timing since we are in the process of doing a CCMP update. So, if as folks have time, please review this document. And then finally, just wanted to make you aware of some volunteer events that are coming up this summer. Pinellas County is doing a living shoreline restoration project. So they're going to be meeting every Wednesday and Saturday in June. And then to do some oyster bag filling. And then in July, TBEP is partnering with them to kind of do a combined give a day on July 23rd. I am pretty sure that this is it's in the evening, so it's not like a traditional give a day. So just keep that on your radar if you're interested. This Saturday we have our World Oceans Day cleanup, which was postponed from World Oceans Day, so 2 weeks ago, at Terracea State Park Preserve. So we'll be paddling out to Mariposa Key, which is something we've done the past couple of years to celebrate World Oceans Day, and we'll be picking up trash. So if you're interested and you have kayaks or a john boat or a ginu, come join us. It'll be a lot of fun. And then I just want to make you guys aware, and I'll bring this more to and kind of focus on this more at the next meeting, but on 10/22, October 22nd, we will be hosting the Trash Free Waters Rodeo, so which is one of our approved work plan projects. So this is, for those of you who don't know what this project is, it's a trash debris competition essentially. So setting debris collection and having it kind of be a competition. So there'll be prizes and teams and having it set up more like an inshore or offshore fishing tournament rather than a normal cleanup. So kind of incentivizing folks for picking up more trash and different types of trash. So, so more on that to come. Are there any other updates from the group? Anything else? Any other volunteer events? Information you wanna spread?
We're hiring 2 positions. One is an administrative specialist, particularly someone with some savvy with accounting, bookkeeping, and auditing. If you all know anyone that has those skill sets, the deadline to apply is Friday. Please send them my way. We're also hiring a restoration ecologist too. So.
Thanks, Maya.
Keep Pinellas Beautiful is about to kick off the BBOT demonstration and cleanup series that's taking place through the entire month of July. Our first official event is the after 4th of July event at Archibald Park on July 5th. And one of the events throughout the month we are going to be partnering with Tampa Bay Estuary Program on. So all the information is on our website under upcoming events, but there is a series of 19 14 different beaches that we're going to, 19 events through the series that's sponsored by Seagram's. And we're excited to bring this device to educate the community on different alternative ways to collect trash. So check it out. It should be fun.
Related to the microplastics issue, how small pieces does the Bebot pick up?
Oh, of course.
I know not microplastics, but
Yeah, it's not microplastics, and you're putting me on the spot, and I don't know if I have my specs in front of me. Hold on. I can, if anybody else has anything else to say, I can stay on and get that information for you. It's not microplastics, but there is a dimension. Think size of bottle caps and cigarello tips. That's about the size that this device sand sifts. It has a bit of a grate on the back that does one of those like shaking mechanisms to it, and then it sips out the sand. It does leave shells. So we do have to manually filter through it, and we'll be displaying the things that are collected from it. So volunteers will be helping with that, but I will look up that exact information for you. Just give me a minute.
I think that thing sounds awesome. I can't wait to see it in action. It sounds very cool. And if go to Keep Pinellas Beautiful's Eventbrite page, and they have all of the different events on there, so you can go out and see it, because I think it's going to be cool.
Anything else? Oh, Erica, no word from Boat Stock, unfortunately.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thank you all so much for being here, and thank you for all of our guests for coming and hanging out with us the whole time. Really appreciate all of you. So we'll see you again in September.
Thanks, Sheila.